listening to Union Strong NJSPBA Voices Podcast. The intro is brought to you by the New Jersey State PBA-owned Federal Credit Union, offering competitive rates and fast loan approval. Visit www.njspbafcu.org. Hello and welcome to episode S4 of Union Strong NJSPBA Voices Podcast. I'm your host, Vinny Rizzo, and today is part 2 of a special 2-part series, 2 for the State. One of the most important responsibilities we have as your state PBA is to make sure that you, our members, are fully informed when it comes to the issues that directly impact your lives, your careers, and your families. This year, New Jersey faces a pivotal moment with the upcoming gubernatorial election. And while you'll hear plenty of noise in the media and see endless political ads, we believe that our members deserve something better: direct access to the candidates themselves. That's why the PBA is proud to be at the forefront, bringing you something no one else can: the actual voices of the 2 people who want to be your next governor, speaking directly to our delegation. Today is Jack Ciatterelli. No spin, no filters, no sound bites chopped up for television. Just their words, their tone, and their message, exactly as they delivered it to the men and women of this union. This is about transparency. It's about making sure that before you make a decision, you hear for yourself how each candidate addresses the concerns that matter most to law enforcement and to working families. Whether it's pensions, health benefits, safety, or the future of policing in New Jersey, these aren't just political talking points. They are real issues that affect every member wearing this uniform. By sharing these recordings, we're not just reporting on the process, we're bringing you into the room. You'll hear what our delegates heard, just like when we brought you 7 for the state back in March and April. You'll have the same opportunity to weigh each candidate's words and judge for yourself who is best prepared to lead our state forward. And as a friendly reminder, check out episodes 21 and 23 respectively to hear the candidates' words to our delegation from the mini-convention. That's what it means to be Union Strong, making sure our members are informed, empowered, and never left in the dark. We hope you enjoy the episode and, more importantly, find it to be educational.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for the great questions that you asked to Mike Sherrill, the Congresswoman running for governor. I like the fact that you guys gave her the right questions, the timely questions, the questions that we needed to ask. These are all the things that we've discussed with her privately. We've also discussed these topics with the Republican candidate, Jack Ciatterelli, who is walking in the door right now. Jack, thanks for coming here today. Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen, you all recognize him. Jack Ciatterelli, thank you very much, sir.
Good morning. In 99 days, it's about 99 days to election, we get to hit the reset button here in New Jersey. And as someone whose family's been here for 100 years, I can't wait to hit the reset button on a number of issues. But we know what those issues are most important to you. But first, let me address something else. For many of you, if maybe not all of you, I realize it's not just a scar, it is still an open wound because of what somebody whose initials are Chris Christie did 16 years ago. I'm not Chris Christie. So I'm asking you not to judge this book by that cover. Nor was I in the legislature when they made those changes. There are some changes we need to make to those changes because of what's going on today. But I want you to know that things change on day one of my administration, because I'm telling you here and now, the person who I appoint as Attorney General will not get that appointment unless that person has your back every single day of the week. So you'll have the support of the political leadership here in the state. Currently, you do not. The current Attorney General, in my mind, is the most politically motivated we've ever had. And he hasn't had the back of local law enforcement. We will. Your job will get easier on day one because not only will you have the right kind of Attorney General, but I'll appoint county prosecutors that have the back of local law enforcement. You know what the organizational structure is for law enforcement in the state. Our police chiefs have a dotted line to the mayor. They've got a direct line to the county prosecutors, and the 21 county prosecutors report to the Attorney General. Also on day one, Executive Order number 1, no town in this state will be a sanctuary city, and we will not be a sanctuary state. I've made that clear throughout the campaign and will continue to do so. That only encourages illegal immigration. We are not going to restrict you in any way to do your job to keep our community safe. As you know, nonviolent crime is through the roof in this state. break-ins, car thefts, flash mobs on our Jersey Shore. I think that all changes with a change in leadership. Leadership matters. If I didn't think it did, I wouldn't be doing this. But I believe I can provide the right kind of leadership to make your job a little safer and a little easier, and in so doing, keep our community safe. We're not getting rid of qualified immunity. We're not doing that. We're not going to have civilian review boards with subpoena power. We're not going to release internal affairs records to the public. I'll work with the police chiefs to reform the police training certification. None of you should be subject to double jeopardy. These are some of the things that I know are kind of getting in the way today. And it's hurting when it comes to recruitment. You've got to wear a body camera. I think that says it all. We don't need all these other things that only make your job more difficult and hurt us when it comes to recruiting. I don't have a problem with no-knock warrants. I don't have a problem with canines for crowd control. I don't necessarily have a problem with high-speed chases. You're trained professionals. My Attorney General and our 21 county prosecutors are going to let you do your job. I think there's other matters that should be of concern to you as well that are raging across this state. Okay? And, Peter, are we having a Q&A?
Yes.
So if there are Q&A with respect to other issues that are on your mind, first let me say this. And I wasn't witness to it. I didn't hear it. But my guess is that my opponent came in here and told you I was going to change your pension. Okay. Okay, that tells me that's exactly what she said. I'm not Chris Christie. The job has never been harder. The job's never been more dangerous. We have a recruitment problem. I am not going to change your pension. Okay? I've been endorsed by the Retired State Troopers Association. I've been endorsed by the Retired New Jersey State Police and Firemen's Association because I've pledged to protect pensions and because of my plan to reinstate the COLA for our retirees. Many of whom had to go get a second job at the age of 65, 68, 70 to afford their property taxes. I will protect your pension. There's something else that I need to do. The Democrats who've run our state legislature for 25 years and this governor of the past 8 years have not made a significant investment in our state health care plan. And so I know what's going on. You're getting a 2 or 3 or 4% increase, and you're going home with less take-home pay. Gross pay doesn't pay the bills. Net pay pays the bills. If I can't get the health insurance plan, the state health care insurance plan under control, I will work with your leadership to reform Chapter 78 so that you are not going home with less take-home pay. We'll get you more take-home pay by reforming Chapter 78. There's an affordability crisis all across the state with regard to taxes, particularly property taxes. And so we'll have a new school funding formula to reduce your property taxes. There is a public education crisis. Many of you have children in the school system. We've slipped from 2 to 12 on the national report card. Okay? That's because we've gotten away from teaching critical life skills in our schools. Under Governor Ciatterelli, we're going to get back to teaching critical life skills, providing more vocational training opportunities with an age-appropriate curriculum that respects parental rights. The other thing we need to do in this state, which only adds to the affordability crisis, is get our energy plan on track. Right now, this administration, something my opponent supports, has shut down energy production in this state, bet it all on wind. Wind is never going to be able to take care of our energy needs anytime soon or in the distant future. We need a rational energy plan. You'll get that under Governor Ciatterelli, and that will help keep your monthly electricity rates down and keep us competitive from a business standpoint. That's what I'm all about, gang, that I think is most specific to all of you. And so in 99 days, we get a chance to hit the reset button. Here are the facts. I'll at least give you 2 or 3 specific to my opponent. She has said that she is considering reappointing Matt Platkin. That's a fact. Look it up. She has said that she's thinking about continuing the sanctuary city, sanctuary state status. That's a fact. Look it up. She endorsed Mandami, the Democratic mayoral candidate out of New York City, who said the NYPD was a racist, anti-queer organization that is a threat to the community. That over the weekend said that police should not respond to 911 domestic violence calls because police only escalate that.
I'll give her that one.
I'll wait till you're done.
Very smart she is. Yeah. She got you there, Jack.
This is what's going on today. Not in my New Jersey. I've already told you we've been here for 100 years. My grandfather worked his way up out of the ditch to become a very successful independent contractor. My dad worked 38 years as a union pipe fitter for Public Service Gas, street department. My mother worked the line on J&J. I was one of 4 children. There were a number of years they owned a restaurant bar. My mother worked midnights. She ran the restaurant bar by day. My dad worked by day. He ran the restaurant bar by night. No two people had greater integrity, work ethic, and it was all about our responsibilities. They were constantly reminding my 2 brothers and my sister and I about our responsibilities. They never talked about our rights, because in that house, we had no rights. My mother had a wooden spoon. My dad had the belt. But at 18, we all got one right in that house, the right to leave. I, too, have been very, very fortunate here in the state of New Jersey, having started 2 of my own businesses and created jobs for our fellow New Jerseyans. This is home. You don't need to worry about me being distracted like governors on both sides of the aisle over the last 40 years who wanted to go to Washington. I've been asked to run for Congress. The answer always has been, always will be no. I've been asked to run for U.S. Senate. Answer has been, always will be no. Pete has not asked me to run for president, but the answer is no. What's going on, man? Where'd you come from? I didn't even see it. Snuck up on me. And I don't want to write a book. I just want to fix the state we all love. And I want to believe you love it too. That's why you're here today. When this is all over, I'll give you 4 of the 8 years of the best I got, and then I'm going to the beach in Surf City. Okay? But that's the way this is going to go down. And, let me say one other thing with the utmost humility, because of how fortunate we've all been, Ciatterellis, as business owners. I don't need the job. But on your behalf, our behalf, on our fellow citizens' behalf, I want the job. When something I love is broken, I want to fix it. This state is broken. It can be fixed. Leadership matters, and working in partnership, we'll get it done for the state of New Jersey, and we'll get it done for your profession as well. I want to get back to a day and time when people respect authority. I grew up in a time where if my parents got a phone call from any of the sisters at St. Anne's, my teacher, or the local cop, there was serious shit at home. I see you nodding your heads. You remember that day. We can get back there. Leadership matters. Pete, I want to thank you and your leadership team for the opportunity. Happy to answer any and all questions. Seeing none.
We got Kevin Lynn's over there. Kevin's not Kevin. Can I ask a question? Okay.
How's it going, sir? How are you? Ron Osadis, Aberdeen, Local 163.
Good to see you, Ron.
So I'll be very honest with you. So I've heard a long time ago by a wise man that cops are Republicans with Democratic needs. It comes back to our salary and all this stuff selfishly. I'm not going to sit here and ask you about bail reform because the speech you just gave, I want to run through the wall and go lock people up. I think you're going to have our back with that. The one thing that concerns me greatly is the Chris Christie comparisons.
I get it.
I saw the video, and I think everyone in here saw the video of you on the floor. It wasn't so much what you said, it was how you said it to me, and that's what affected me, that there's more dangerous professions than police. Last night, an NYPD officer was shot and killed. We have still, to this day, a letter from Chris Christie saying exactly what you just said, hung up in our squad room. I would like that to be the moment, this to be that moment, and you to just address that video for me one last time to make me feel comfortable.
You bet. So what was taking place on the floor of the Assembly was a debate to get rid of the binding arbitration cap. Because police budgets are 50% or more of any municipal budget. That doesn't make you bad, that the police department is the largest single expense line in municipal budgets, that if you get rid of the binding arbitration cap, you cannot make the 2% property tax cap work. It's a mathematical impossibility. And the debate taking place on the floor by the Democrats who were proposing to get rid of the binding arbitration cap at the time, which I did not support, I'm always transparent, okay, was that this is the most dangerous profession, it was this and that, and I said there are more dangerous professions. My Army captain's son is in Kuwait right now, and I'm proud of him. He just got an Army medal for his logistical expertise during the war.
It's amazing.
Yes. So that's what I would say. They kept saying about how dangerous, I know of more dangerous professions. You know, when I worked at public service, one of our welders died. Truck came through the work site, he was in the ditch, it took him out, and he was done within seconds. So that was the point. I understand your human reaction to the Chris Christie lie and how it might apply to any and all Republicans. I'm here to tell you, I'm not Chris Christie. I don't lie, because I don't need the job. Chris Christie wanted to be president.
No, I know that. He didn't make it. He didn't do too well.
So I get it. By the way, this is the beauty of the Q&A. Shame on me. I forgot to mention, my Attorney General will support me in reforming bail reform. Cashless bail has created professional criminals. And I know that arrest, release, repeat is real, and it ends. Here's my idea for criminal justice reform. You come before the judge as a nonviolent offender, violent, you're doing your time. Nonviolent offender, we'll give you three choices. We can incarcerate you for $50,000 a year in taxpayer money. We'll send you to trade school with an ankle bracelet for $50,000 a year, or you go in the military, it's your choice. Let me say something about the 14-year-old that murdered that Newark cop while the cop was sitting in his car. That 14-year-old under Governor Ciatterelli will be tried as an adult. These minors that are disrupting our malls and our Jersey Shore with these flash mobs. You're 16 or 17, minor. We'll charge you as an adult. We'll give you a clean slate. We'll expunge the record in a year if you go clean. If you're under 16, we're going to find the parents. There needs to be a consequence. Right now, people think there's no consequence. There needs to be a consequence.
Hey, Jack, how are you? It's Matt Rogers from Atlantic City, PBA Local 24. I have a very specific question. As you're probably aware, Atlantic City's been under state control since 2016. Complete state takeover. They carved out the teachers, and we've eaten the lion's share of it. There's been several conversations. We've been approached, and specifically why I'm bringing it to you is because your name keeps coming up. They said there's a plan in place that the Atlantic City Police Departments could be taken over under your leadership if you get in as the governor.
Listen, you're going to hear a whole lot of lies about me out there, community. I have never said that. What I've said is that Trenton can't take care of its own house. How are we going to take care of somebody else's house? Having said that, if we have local leadership that, in my opinion, is so corrupt, so marginalized, and we've got a certain situation in Atlantic City where the mayor right now is indicted and his trial is coming up, that they're not running their town, the state may have to play a role. But I want to see the kind of leadership in Atlantic City where there's local control, not state control. After 8 years of state control, are things any better in Atlantic City?
No, of course not. That's why you guys are – the state's been in charge. They haven't gone anywhere.
State's been in charge for 8 years.
They haven't used any of their authority. Specifically, though, we're hearing about the police department. Police department's probably the best thing that's going on down there. I don't know why we would be targeted.
Yeah, you shouldn't be targeted. You're undermanned, and the city has never been more dangerous. But let me say something about places like Newark and like Trenton and like Atlantic City. I got to get people to want to live there again. And the way you do that is with three things. Number one, is it safe? So there's going to be a whole big investment in law enforcement to make these places safe. Two, is there compelling housing? Right now there is not. And three, are there good public schools? And if there aren't, there ought to be school choice like charters. I've got to get people to want to live in our urban centers again. There's a whole big economic reason for that, if I can go off on a tangential for just 30 seconds. I recently spoke before a big economic roundtable in Atlantic City, and the guy that got up before me was saying, you know, there's 72 empty storefronts on Atlantic Avenue. 72 empty storefronts on Atlantic Avenue, the main drag that runs parallel to the boardwalk. And when I got up, I said, do you know what the population of this city was in 1925, 100 years ago? It was 55,000. You know what it is today? It's 35,000. What would 20,000 more people mean to the local economy? We got to get people to want to live in places like Newark, Trenton, and Atlantic City again. In Trenton, arguably the worst conditioned state capital in the country. Marriott didn't even sell the property. Marriott recently locked the door and left. I got to get people who want to live in these places again. And you do that first and foremost with public safety. And that doesn't happen unless there's a big investment in local law enforcement and they know that political leadership has their back.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Before we get back to the conversation, I want to take a moment to talk to you about the sponsor of this mid-roll, something that's here for you because it's ours. Blue Guardian Insurance is NJSPBA owned and designed with our members in mind. That means it's not just another insurance company. It's run by the people who understand our work, our families, and our needs. Whether it's protecting your home, your car, or your future, Blue Guardian has your back because it's built for us, by us. If you haven't already, check them out at www.pbainsure.com and see how they can help protect what matters most. Blue Guardian Insurance. Our protection, our way.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing? Nelson Tejada with the PBA 221.
Nelson, what town is that?
Bergen County Prosecutor's Office.
Ah, very good.
Question for you. So prior to Chris Christie, we had the option for 20 years and out with medical. I know New York just passed that bill as well, that they can retire in 20 years with medical. This job's not appealing anymore to a lot of people. It's very hard to recruit people. Is that something that you're willing, is that an option for you?
If we continue to struggle with recruitment, I'm willing to entertain anything and everything to recruit more high-caliber candidates into this profession. I will tell you that my son-in-law-to-be is a state trooper, and I know for a fact we used to get 20,000 applicants a year for state troopers. That is down significantly. We're only getting about 3,000 applicants, and they failed a PT, which brings us down to about 500 people that don't make it through the whole academy. We end up 50% only make it through the academy. We got to get more people who want to go into this profession again. So I'm willing to entertain anything and everything that makes the profession more attractive again.
All right, thank you.
But my first job is to restore your morale. I can do that on day one with the things that we talked about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? Mike DiBartolo, PBA Local 45.
What town is that?
Eastern Bergen County, Angle Cliffs, Edgewater, Fairview, Palisades Park.
Okay.
Soon to be retired. So this goes into the next part. You talked about restoring or addressing Chapter 78. What is your plan for that? What is your plan for the medical issue that we're having in the state? And what is your plan for COLA, since it's going to really affect me soon?
So first of all, I supported the police portion of the pension plan being broken out separately. It has been broken out separately, and you guys are doing phenomenal with the investment returns, and that pension trust is about more than 70% funded. So I know a lot of times in the police community there's concern over the pension payment at the state level. The only public employees that are in the state plan is anybody who's an employee of state government and local school teachers. You all are in pretty good shape because most municipalities, counties, and the like, didn't take the pension holiday. And so that pension trust is now broken out separately. That's really good news. I think that that serves as a model for potentially breaking out health insurance separately for the law enforcement community. Let's have that discussion and see how it works. If we decide not to, we've got to sit down with your leadership, which I know has been open to plan redesign, right, to bring the cost of the health insurance down.
Yeah, Kevin
but
tries all the time.
if we cannot, it is totally unfair to anybody in the state health plan to get an increase in pay and less take-home pay, which is exactly what's happening with Chapter 78. It's not fair.
I mean, listen, I'll just throw this out there. I'm retiring, obviously, very soon. Thursday's my last day. And part of the reason I'm retiring is next year, we're coming out of a contract year. We're looking at, roughly as a family plan, you're looking at a $500 increase in medical. For every one of the people in this room who's on the state health benefits, there's going to be no raise that's going to cover that $500 a month in any department. How can guys subdue this? It's
can't.
a major thing that needs to be addressed, and I know Kevin's tried time and time again. Hopefully you'll work together with him and help the state, and we can make this work properly.
Yeah.
I just want to one more thing.
Listen, well, you didn't let me get to COLA yet.
Okay.
But let me say this. I believe we can be successful with plan redesign that doesn't decrease your benefit, your coverage. Even if we're not successful, if there's a good faith effort to do that, we need to reform Chapter 78. No matter what we do, okay, what we've now learned is given what's happened to health insurance, Chapter 78 isn't working. I think it's criminal for somebody to get an increase in their pay and less take-home pay. You pay the bills with net pay, not with gross pay. COLA, okay? We're not going to take it out of the local through the Pension Adjustment Act. We're not going to take it out of the local budgets. They're already struggling with the 2% property tax cap. We're not taking it out of your trust fund. Although it's more than 70% funded, it's still underfunded by 30%. That would only exacerbate the problem. It's coming right out of the state budget, separate line item in the state budget. I'm always honest. Am I going to give a COLA to somebody retired yesterday?
No, I understand.
I am not going to spread that COLA so thin that people end up getting a monthly check and they're going to look at that and say, what the? Are they kidding me?
Agree.
Let's make it significant. So we need to have a discussion as to where the cutoff is. I think there's probably some very reasonable criteria. Is it more than X number of years you've been retired? Are you one of those law enforcement professionals that didn't pay into Social Security during your working years? We know a large majority of law enforcement professionals during their years in law enforcement did not pay into Social Security, right? Some did. So how can we establish a criteria that's fair, but also gets the people who need it the most? I had a town hall the other night, and I got a 69-year-old retired cop come up and he said, Jack, I got to go get a part-time job to afford my property taxes?
Yeah.
We got to reinstate the COLA. By the way, so I can just get it off my chest, this budget's up $24 billion. We've gone from $36 billion, Chris Christie's last, to this one, $60. This guy had every opportunity to fix the things we're talking about today. They didn't invest in the state health plan. They didn't reinstate the COLA. They've let Chapter 78 get out of control. They had every opportunity, and they didn't do it.
And just one more thing. Thank you for not reading anything while you were up there the whole time. Vanilla Harris up there prior to you just read off a sheet once you walked in the room so she didn't mess up. Thank you for saying everything comes from the heart and being true to yourself.
I can't prove this. I appreciate that. I can't prove this, but I'm going to make an allegation. She didn't even write it.
Of course, somebody else wrote it for you just like the other person, and at least we know, well, either if you're lying to us or not, we don't know, but it's not scripted that we're going to see the same thing over and over and over every time. Thank you.
Hey, I opened up by saying I realize it's not a scar, it's an open wound. Yes, sir. Name, rank, and serial number. Badge number.
Good morning, sir. Hudson County Corrections, PBA 109, Officer Lasojo. So I've been a correctional officer for 23 years now, and I've watched our career, our professionalism go on a downslope. So right now we're at a critical state where almost every jail in New Jersey, including mine, we're critically short as far as manpower. And one of the things that's come up recently is that police departments are allowed to poach from us, which we're seeing that at the highest amount that I've ever seen, but we can't poach from anywhere. So even if we had a significant contract money-wise that would possibly make a police officer maybe want to come work in a jail, I don't know why, but I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't, but I just want to know if there's any plans in your future to address that on a higher level where at a minimum there has to be a certain amount of time that an officer has to stay within a correctional facility under that title before being able to leave to a police department.
Listen,
that's a serious issue that we're having on all levels.
This is America. I hate to restrict people in those ways. You know, I got people that come to me all the time and says, if somebody's earned a public pension, they move out of state, you ought to tax them. This is America. You should be able to live wherever the hell you want in any one of the 50 states. Listen, whenever I'm posed with a challenge, what I always like to ask first is, are other states doing something with a great more success than we are in terms of the recruitment of people into certain professions alike? I do think we need to do a better job with our young people of recruiting them. That's one thing I got to when I said in our public education system, I got 4 children. One of them is a very successful licensed diesel mechanic. Not all kids want or necessarily need to go to college. And that's not to say that people that work in corrections may not have an associate's or a bachelor's. But we need to do a better job recruiting people in the profession. I didn't know about the poaching, but that's something we should certainly discuss. But I don't want to restrict somebody.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't want to restrict somebody.
And one other
but
thing,
listen, I also know when we're short, the job only gets more dangerous. You know, what's interesting about the shortage, Pete, I'll put you on the spot. We know a number of counties have closed their county jail and merged it with another. I just wondered what happened to all those people that worked in those county jails for counties that don't have one anymore. Where'd they go?
They went to police departments, and even real quick, Pete, one of the biggest thing is that a lot of guys that were correctional officers in other departments, when the PTC came into play, all of a sudden they couldn't get cleared through PTC. So we couldn't even, some people weren't even eligible to come over. They had to retire.
Yeah. I've been in discussion with chiefs. We need to reform the PTC. It has not.
Thank you.
You should not be subject to double jeopardy, and it shouldn't end up in these kinds of department versus department kind of thing.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir. Did Mikey get this many questions?
Yes. Don Chardrew, Morristown, PBA 43.
Hey, Don.
Thanks for the question, Jack. The question is for people that want to stay in the state, myself, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, everybody's New Jerseyan. Do you have a plan as far as the property taxes go? I know that for me, you know, I don't know that he could have pulled it off, but I did like that Bill Spady at least had a vision on a step program. Do you have?
Don, are you trying to piss me off?
Nah. That was, like I said, that was the one thing I liked. I liked it a lot. But
I beat him
anyway,
by
do you
50
have a plan
points,
on the property taxes, on how to get property taxes kind of in check?
First of all, I appreciate the fact you being such a gentleman, even though you didn't vote for me in the primary, but I do hope you vote for me in the general.
I did.
The answer to your question is yes, and I think my plan was better than his, quite frankly. Number one, we should do what Pennsylvania does. All retirement income is tax-free, period. Okay? New Jersey doesn't do that. Number two, once you hit age 70, your property taxes are frozen for life. You know, what my opposition party likes to do is take money out of your right-hand pocket, put it back in your left-hand pocket, give it a fancy name. Freeze, anchor, stay. How about we stop taking it out of your right-hand pocket and putting a little bit back in your left-hand pocket with a fancy name? Just freeze your property taxes once you hit age 70. The other thing is, and I don't want to take you too much into the weeds, but where property taxes are concerned, anywhere from 50 to 70% of your property tax bill is the school tax. Yes? Okay.
72.
And the reason why our property taxes are so high is because the school tax portion of your bill is sky high. And the reason it is because of the way we distribute state aid to schools. And so under Governor Ciatterelli, you're going to have a new school funding formula that provides a more equitable distribution of state aid to our schools. The current formula is nefarious. It's arbitrary. I believe it violates the Equal Benefit Clause of our state constitution that says no community is supposed to suffer at the expense of another. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Many of the districts we live in get very little state aid. And if you divide the number of students in your school system into the school budget, it's going to come out to somewhere between $13,000 and $18,000 per kid, because things are more expensive in Bergen than they are in Salem. But that's the reasonable range. Do you know what the cost per pupil is in Newark because of all the state aid they get? $37,000 per kid. Now, you're never going to prove to me or justify to me that the Newark kid needs $21,000 more than the state average, which is $16,000. We need a new school funding formula. And with a more equitable distribution of state aid to schools across all of our 564 towns, I can lower your property taxes. So those are the three things I can do right out of the bat.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir.
Roger Riles, Elizabeth, Local 4.
Wait, you're not allowed to read off your phone. That's always a worry. When somebody reads a question off the phone, just teasing you, man.
I could barely read.
Now
I'll
I'm
be
even
here-
more
I'll
worried.
be here all week. Thank you.
I'm
Try
even
to
more
feel.
worried.
Real quick, I know you talked about property tax reform, specifically the 2% cap.
We're not going to lift it. Can't.
All right, got my question. Got my answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And listen, I understand the challenges that poses. I understand completely the challenges that poses. And, you know, with inflation, it's almost become impossible. Impossible. But that is the number one crisis all across the state. And when we talk about the affordability crisis, that is at the top of the list. Along with the income taxes you pay. I mean, our top bracket in New Jersey is 10.75. Pennsylvania has a 3% flat tax. I'll reduce the size and cost of our state government in a very responsible way, to afford a tax cut for our individuals and, most importantly, our businesses. Our top business tax now is 11.5. Pennsylvania Democratic governor, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania is lowering their business tax from 10 to 5, while we increased ours from 9 to 11.5. I just sat down with a major corporation here in New Jersey that's been here for hundreds of years. And they were very respectful, but they were quite defiant. They said to me, "We're not leaving, Jack, but we're not expanding here." They just invested $2 billion in North Carolina. Don't think for a second that doesn't impact all of us in some way, shape, or form. It does. It does. So I've got to make our state more business friendly. Why is Pennsylvania lowering their business tax from 10 to 5%? Because Ohio's business tax is 0. The Democratic governor of Pennsylvania is burning 7 coal-burning plants to produce electricity. Burning natural gas like there's no tomorrow. Just cut the ribbon on a 4th nuclear reactor. What does this mean to all of you? A lot. Our monthly electric bill is going through the roof because this governor, with the support of the person I'm opposing, supports wind energy as the solution. It is never going to solve our energy problems. And businesses are locating right now in Pennsylvania, including the data centers that are needed to support AI. Do you or do you not want to compete? My job is to grow the economy. When I grow the economy, we create more jobs. All that creates more tax revenue for people in the public sector like all of you. Okay? Phil Murphy's trying to tax his way out. I'm going to responsibly reduce the size and cost of our state government, but you can't cut your way out either with what it is we're up against. You've got to grow the economy. When I owned my business, I didn't increase my revenue by increasing my prices on my existing customers. I went out and got more customers. That's how you grow your business. The same principle applies. Yes, sir.
Vito Spadea, Somerville.
Not Spadia, Spadea. You're good. You're good with me.
Pronounced proper. You
I
kinda
live in
answered my-
Somerville, by the way.
Yes, I know, Jack. We've met before.
Yeah,
and,
we have.
You kind of answered my question before about 2% cap, but my thing was going to be, I do a lot of our purchasing for our department as far as equipment, and the fees and the cloud services that we need for all this stuff keeps going up and up and up, and it keeps taxing and hurting our operating budget. But we always hear this 2% cap from the town. Is there something that we can probably work on or that you could figure out to help us out? Because our budgets are our budgets for our police departments, and a lot of these smaller departments like us, we have 34-man department. We don't have the funding for all that kind of stuff. So is there something that the state can help us out with, or at least maybe get going with adjusting some of that? And I know you said the 2% cap is there. And
Listen, anybody that comes before you and tries to portray themselves as having all the answers is bullshitting you. My first job is to listen.
Yes.
My first job is to listen. And so you're on the front lines of that. I'll sit down with people like you and say, tell me what we can do better. What can we do better to make it work? Because right now it's not working. And if the 2% property caps becomes an impossibility, which we're on the verge of, quite frankly, with what we've seen with the inflation and the like, we'll revisit that too. But where I stand today, I'm not in favor of lifting the 2% property cap, but sitting down with people like you and find out exactly what it is that's going on the front lines and how it's hindering us in terms of our operational efficiency and the like, I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah. Rob says, you're the last of the... Go ahead.
Nice to see you again, Jack. Chris Bedamento, Patterson Local 1, SOA President.
Hey, Chris.
My question is, you put the new AG in charge. Does that include putting my chief back where he belongs? We recently lost the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Chief
listen,
Ribeiros
that was a
removed.
politically, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. That was a politically motivated move. We're not going to do that kind of thing, and we're not going to hurt morale all the more with that kind of thing. That was unwarranted, in my opinion. So, yes, it's going back to the chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It is great to be with you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
That's it for today's episode of Union Strong NJSPBA Voices Podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to follow the podcast and share it with fellow members so we can keep these important stories and updates reaching everyone who needs to hear them. We'll be back soon with more news, interviews, and insights that matter to New Jersey law enforcement. Until next time, stay informed, stay united, stay Union Strong.